Assalamu alaikum students. Today's lecture is about contemporary literature, in which we are going to cover what do we think contemporary literature is, how can we relate this idea to postmodern literature, and in the later parts of my lecture, I'm going to cover the features of contemporary literature. First, we're going to begin with what is contemporary literature. The term contemporary refers to any current or existing entity, whereas literature is explained as a form of art which has passed the test of time and permanence is one of its main feature. According to general consensus, literature produced after 1940s is considered to be contemporary. An absolute definition of contemporary literature is difficult to be quoted. However, a brief discussion from David Dimrosh can help in understanding what is included in contemporary literature. Firstly, we need to understand what do we mean by the mix of these two words, contemporary and literature. So obviously contemporary is something which is going on, a current trend, and literature refers to any piece of art, written or verbal or in form of a portrait or in any other medium. But this needs to have one quality, that it has passed the test of time. So now we understand that contemporary literature is any piece of art which is being produced nowadays in the ongoing time. Now, what have we been doing up till now? We were studying about a lot of ages. For example, Middle Age, early modern age, then dark ages. And what we used to do, we used to categorize them, that this age started from this point in time and ended in this century. But what is happening with the contemporary literature? This contemporary literature is set to have started in 1940s or after 1940s and is still going on. That is why the scholars have not yet come up with any absolute definition for what kind of literature it is. Yet there have been many scholars like David Damrosch who have been writing about what contemporary literature is and what is included in it. So in this current slide, we're going to read what Damrosch says about what is included in contemporary literature. The boundaries of literature were quite broad in 18th and 19th century, and though they contracted in the first half of the 20th, they have steadily widened out again in the past several decades. Literature anthologies now regularly include religious and philosophical texts, essays, autobiographical writing, and examples of creative nonfiction, along with poems, plays, and prose fiction. Literature has expanded even beyond its root sense of written with letters to include oral compositions by illiterate poets. Firstly, let me explain this idea that whatever literature is being produced right now does not have any new ideas. And why is that happening? Because so much has already been written as literature that people now, or the authors or the writers, whoever working on literature, these days are set to have no new ideas. Rather, they're reproducing the older ideas with new trends, new mediums, and maybe the mix of new ideas is there that we may see, that new combination is being built up from the old written text, but in itself the ideas are not new which are being written in the contemporary literature. Plus, what Damrosch says is that these days any literary piece which is being produced by anyone out there in the world is respected as literature, which is quite contrary to what was happening in old times. For example, this has been the um, definition that we studied of literature in our past classes, that anything that passes the test of time and is known as classic and has been read by masses and approved by masses as something unique is termed as literature. But now what is happening, that even the illiterate poets, as by Damrosch, even the illiterate poets are coming up with oral compositions, and they are considered as literature. And one of the example of these this category is the people who are coming on Facebook. They have these live sessions in, or maybe the recorded videos, or on other social media forums, where what do? They categorize their written piece as literature and presents it in front of the audience, and even the audience reposts it, naming it as literature. So now the definition is quite changing, and Damrosch also says that in 18th and 19th century, what was happening, that anything to be called as literature had to pass through certain filters, but this funnel is now removed, and people can come up saying that anything and everything is literature. Plus, we may see in the second part of this slide that all the genres, the short stories, the longer essays, the philosophical text, the religious text, every text is named or titled as literature. Now, the next slide says, what is postmodern age? Let me give you an introduction to what do you mean by this term postmodern age. What have we been doing up till now? Let me repeat that we had been reading different ages, that they started from this and this point in time and they ended in 16th century. For example, when we speak of when we speak of Rousseau's work, so we see that in 17th century, there was a change in the philosophical belief system. And that is why this certain type of text as Rousseau's Confession was produced. Now here what is happening, again, we are seeing that this age in which we are living is known as postmodern age. Post means after, and we are living in a modern world. So this age, whatever is happening up till now, whatever is happening right now is considered as postmodern, means after modern age. Now this, in this after modern age, all you know um, all culture, norms, beliefs, and other prevailing factors in society are having an impact upon literature. So the slide says each age we have been studying in the course is known with a certain title decided on base of general consensus. For example, Dark Age, Middle Ages, Modern Age, etc. Similarly, the age we are living in is philosophically entitled to be postmodern in its trends. Postmodern age possesses some specific features like other discussed ages. These features are the shadow of culture, norms, beliefs, and other prevailing factors in the society. Thus, postmodern age also reflects the social traits of the contemporary world. Therefore, it has impact upon literature produced in this time. Now, why am I including this term postmodern age in the lecture of contemporary literature? Let me make this clear to you that we can use these terms postmodern literature and contemporary literature interchangeably. Why can we do that? Because contemporary literature is something that is being produced nowadays or currently or after the modern ages have finished, and similarly the postmodern age also refers to the same period of time. And that is why any philosophical set of belief system that is somehow categorized to be linked as to be linked to postmodern contemporary literature also has its impact. Let me explain this in simple words, that this age in which we are living is a postmodern age. So what are the features of this age? We have virtual reality, we have hyper reality, we have binary oppositions, and we have similarly we have number of other features which we see are the philosophical base of this society, of this prevailing current society, contemporary society. And that is why these features can be seen in literature as well, and which is why we are going to study that what are the features of postmodern literature, and then we see that how are they reflected in our literature, the literature that is being produced these days. So in my next lecture, I'm going to discuss what are the features of postmodern age, or what are the features of contemporary literature. These both things are same. Hope you have understood the lecture. Now we're going to meet in our next video. Thank you so much.